Hi, I'm Erin Power.
And I'm Laura Rupsis.
We're certified health coaches, and this is Health Coach Radio.
This podcast is about the art, science, and business of health coaching.
We share our insider tips to help you become a better coach and entrepreneur.
And we interview expert guests to discover how they've made it in this growing field.
It's time for health coaches to make an impact.
It's time for Health Coach Radio.
Today's episode is brought to you by the Health Coach Success Virtual Masterclass. My co-host Laura and I worked hard to pull together this special online event just for you. It's a 5-day mini course in which we interview the best and brightest health coach and marketing experts on the planet to try to understand how they've become such great coaches and entrepreneurs. Included in the 20-plus expert interviews are some names you might recognize. Primal Health Coach Institute founder Mark Sisson, celebrity nutrition expert and New York Times bestselling author J.J. Virgin, author, cardiologist, and staunch health coach advocate Dr. William Davis, Michelle Liotta of Health Coach Power Community, Michelle Norris, CEO of Paleo FX and ID Life Nutrition, and many, many more. The Health Coach Success Virtual Masterclass is now available and totally free for a limited time. Check it out at primalhealthcoach.com/success. Today's guest is Jen James of Celestial Yoga. Jen has a thriving online yoga business where she specializes in helping folks manage chronic pain and stress through a holistic approach with gentle yoga exercises, mindfulness, and self-care techniques. Jen also teaches holistic living on a budget, and she defines holistic living as an all-encompassing life that incorporates the whole person, including self, family, relationships, work, interests, spirituality, and health. She focuses her practice toward helping caregivers. That's people like you and me who take care of loved ones and manage the stresses inherent with being responsible for another's care. Remember that the show notes for our episodes can always be found at primalhealthcoach.com/radio. We'd love to have you screenshot your podcast app and tag us on Instagram at Health Coach Radio. We'll tag you back. Jen taught us a lot about stress management, chronic pain management, holistic living, and building an online coaching business, and a whole lot more. And we hope you'll take as much away from this conversation as we did. Let's dive in with Jen James. All right, welcome along to the show. Jen, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, we're pleased to have you on. We're really looking forward to it. Lots of interesting stuff to cover in this show. So as we always like to do, why don't we start by talking about you? And why don't you just launch into your sort of 3 to 5 minute sort of speaker bio origin story, where you came from and what you do and how you got there type deal.
Sounds awesome. Thank you. Okay, so yes, I teach holistic living and working on a budget. I empower stressed artists, creatives, and heart-centered entrepreneurs like health coaches to practice self-care, reduce anxiety, and to learn to live and work holistically on a budget. So basically, next month, as of the recording of this video, I'm going to be turning 50. So it's a big time for me right now. And I'm also celebrating my 20th wedding anniversary this year. So it's a big year for me. And I've been teaching yoga and meditation now and a heart-centered entrepreneur since 2003. And I specialize in stress and pain management. I worked at gyms, hospitals, yoga studios, community centers, you name it. I also owned and ran a yoga studio, including managing over 10 instructors for over 3 years. I also managed a law office for 9 years. And then about 3 years ago, I took my business online, and I've learned a ton of technical aspects of running a holistic and sustainable business online and also offline. And then a couple years ago, I became a health and wellness coach. And now more recently, I'm a primal health coach.
Ooh, all right. That's a lot of stuff on your resume there. Boy. Well, what brought you into yoga? How did you get into yoga, and how did that transition from yoga into health coaching and the whole sort of shebang unpack?
Sure. So back in 2003, which, man, it just sounds so long ago. You know what I mean? Because it's 17 years ago. Wow. Yeah, back then it was very difficult to even find a place to become a yoga teacher. Okay, so the internet really wasn't that big a thing. It was, it existed, but I searched out as best as I could a place I could get my teacher training from. And the reason is because at that time, my mom was very ill, and I knew I had to do something to improve my health. And I was in a crossroads. I was done working at a law office. I was working in childcare, and I just needed something bigger. And I loved yoga. So that's when I found a yoga studio. Took me a little bit, but I found one. And I did that for a year, teacher training. It's about 10 months. And then I got very ill, and they discovered a massive tumor inside my uterus, around my uterus. And so once I finished teacher training, I had to have big time surgery and recuperate for a while. And through that process, and all the medicine they put me on, I realized I had a lot of digestive problems. So long story short, I did recover. I'm okay. My mom actually recovered too. Long story short, about 10 years, I dealt with digestive issues. And I went through all kinds of doctors, and they all would say the same thing, nothing's wrong with you. You have no allergies, things like that. And I tried everything, like acupuncture, meditating, hypnosis, everything. Changed my diet to what everybody was telling me was such a healthy diet for yoga teachers, which was vegan and vegetarianism. And I realized about 3 years ago, when I was taking my business online, fast forward, I started realizing that keto made me feel good. And I kind of stumbled across it, by accident. It was probably at the height of when it was becoming really big. And I changed my diet over to keto. And what I realized very quickly is I can only do healthy keto. I cannot just do any kind of keto. And I started healing my digestive system. And that's what led me to want to become a better health coach than the health coach program I went through. And that's when I discovered Primal Health Coaching, and I went through that, and I graduated from that a little while ago.
Wow. So, there's so much about your story that I know I can relate to. Very similar, like years of illness, working within the conventional system that kind of led me nowhere. I know Erin can relate to it. And I know a big chunk of people listening to this can relate to it. And I just appreciate you so much for not only taking, I guess, responsibility for your own health and finding out more, but then using that as a springboard to build a business helping others. Now, you have this background in yoga and meditation and now health coaching. What was it? But you're running an online business, you said, is that correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. So what is it about, because I get this a lot as the admissions director here about kind of what it even really means to be a health coach. What is your day-to-day life? We have people that already know they want to get into more of an online business. Can you tell me a little bit about how that all works as far as how you're bringing in yoga and meditation and health coaching into an online practice?
Sure. So, basically, with my yoga and meditation background, I was teaching in person for 17 years, okay? And then when I owned that yoga studio, I closed it down because I couldn't stand having a yoga studio, running it, dealing with a lot of the day-to-day running a business in person, the rent, all that stuff was just a lot on me. And I something bigger. And I guess that's all that searching. I was like, I also specialize in pain management. I went and got trained by this spectacular man, Lee Albert, who is all about pain management, but it's like the opposite of everything we've been taught all this time. So what's really cool is he's really into shortening and relaxing muscles. And what that did is that changed all the pain that I had in my body and how I taught my yoga classes. So I forgot to mention that. So when I met that man, got trained under him, and became a primal health coach, and started taking my business online, I actually feel complete. Like I feel like I'm ready to help the world and not have to worry about getting more and more trainings. I mean, I just, the coaching, but also teaching, I kind of blend it together because you guys have helped me realize, you have to listen more to be a good coach. And that was something that, the primal health coaching helped me so much with that part, because that's a whole different skill. I'm so used to being in front of people, teaching them yoga and meditation, that I started realizing, oh, health coaching is different. It is about listening and really empowering other people to be the best they can be. And that made my classes different. It made my business different. And yeah, so that's where I'm at now. I hope that answered the question.
Yeah. And so I love that you recognize that, because this is something that comes up within our own community, but I hear it in other health coaching communities that I belong to, through social media and what have you. This notion that, just education and just information is not going to really be what drives change for people. That's not what coaching is about, right? Coaching is not about telling people what to do. It's not about putting people on a diet, right? It's about helping them find their own sense of autonomy and self-efficacy. Most clients, when they really learn to tap into themselves and their own body, intuitively know what they really need. But what they typically need a coach for is the ability to help translate a lot of what their body is telling them, why it's behaving a certain way. They're providing resources, tools, support, right? I kind of view myself as more of the co-pilot rather than the driver, right?
Yeah.
So my question for you, I think, to kind of take my first question further, is how do you actually manifest that in an online business rather than face-to-face?
Sure. So I do actually do some face-to-face, just so you know. I did keep that aspect. But what I'm doing with online is I'm doing exactly what we are trying to do here, is via Zoom also. So I can look at someone and talk to them. And what I can do is I can do some meditations and yoga postures with them, but I can also just sit and talk and listen to them about their health and wellness goals. So I put it all together in a package. I also recorded a lot of videos that they can follow and get access to, because forever, when I was doing all my private sessions with people in person, they would always say to me, oh, I wish you had homework for me to do at home. Like, because they can't remember the postures or whatever it is. Or I had people, I would work with prenatal moms, and they'd say, oh, I wish I could hear your voice while I'm, going and giving birth. And that way they can, so I can relax them. So it's just those kind of things I started putting together. And I'm like, I need to do this online. It can't all be in person, but there's an art form in person too. Of course, I still go to public libraries, yoga studios, and talk and do workshops. But the online, I think, is really cool too, because we do have Zoom nowadays, or you could do it video, audio, whatever it is, and talk to people and listen to them.
I love that.
Love it.
I love that you kind of get down on the floor and do some yoga postures with them too during their coaching session. I think that's really beautiful.
Oh, thanks.
I'm super curious about this pain management stuff, just a little bit to swing back to that. So you did a course with this gentleman, was it Lee Albert? You said his name was?
Yes.
Okay. And so is this for chronic pain sufferers, or like who benefits from this pain management technique?
Right. So yoga, as you guys may know, yoga has a lot of benefits for people. We call it pain. We call it pain management. There are so many postures that you can do that counter the repetitive motions you're already doing. So, for instance, we sleep, say, 8 hours a day, okay? And then say that we work in an office for 8 hours a day. That's 16 hours of your day right there out of 24 hours that you're probably doing a lot of the same repetitive motions, never mind if you're commuting to work too. And then say you're a mom and you're carrying your child around all the time while you're doing things. So these kind of repetitive motions cause a lot of chronic pain and fatigue within the body. And Lee Albert taught me about countering those moves and learning how to slack the muscles. And what you do is you actually go the opposite direction. So I know that we're doing this audio. So for instance, guys, say you're on the computer a lot. And if you look down at your hands, you can see that your hands are in this certain position. And say you're doing that 3 hours in one chunk. Well, the chances are high that eventually your fingers and your hands are going to start having some pain. So I have certain stretches that I do with people, and I would have to do this with a video or in person. It gets kind of lost with audio. But anyways, I would have you do some counter postures with your hands to do the opposite of what you're normally doing. It's the same thing. A lot of people complain about lower back pain. Lower back pain is because we're such a forward bend society. We're always reaching forward with our arms. We're leaning forward to get things. This is our normal, this is our composition. So then I would teach you different postures to counter all that, which means doing certain back bends, certain ways of putting your arm or arms behind your back so that you're opening up your heart more and countering the shoulders going forward. So that's basically what I learned a lot of it from Lee Albert, but I applied it to my existing students and my existing teaching, and I made it my own, a lot of it too.
I love that. I actually love that a lot because I feel that's so functional. It's really functional, and those repetitive sort of strain injuries or repetitive patterns that we get into our muscles it's interesting how that creeps up on you. Hey, and you can go through life thinking you're pretty, I went through life thinking I was a pretty healthy person, taking care of my diet and my exercise. But what I found over the last couple of years is that my hands and wrists are really weakening. And this weakening is actually traveling all the way up through my arms. My arms are getting weaker, which I'm not okay with. And it's because my grip strength is weakening. And what I've kind of come to, as you touched on it, is that I've spent all my life since I was 19 years old on like typing madly on a computer. My first job out of school was as a writer, and I've been writing and typing on the full time on a computer for how many decades now. Mm-hmm. And so I recognize that maybe that pattern in the wrists and in the fingers is what's creating this cascade of weakness. What's interesting to me about that is that we assume a lot of this stuff comes with old age. It's just like anything. Oh, I'm getting older now. Now I'm gonna get a little chubbier. I'm gonna get a little softer. I'm gonna get a little weaker. But I don't think that's necessarily our destiny. What do you think about that in terms of the longevity piece?
Oh yeah, I have to tell you, the reason I said my age is because I'm pain-free. And when I say I'm pain-free, it's a pretty big deal. I didn't go into this in the beginning, but I had an MRI done about 10 to 15 years ago from the top of my head to my tailbone. So that's 3 MRIs. That's an hour and a half. And if it wasn't for the meditation, a lot of people go bonkers being in that. It's like a tube, like a coffin. So I meditated the whole 90 minutes. I was completely relaxed because you're not allowed to move at all. And when I got my results back, they said that almost every one of my vertebrae was bulging or herniated or slipped, all my discs. So I have in my neck and my lower back, I have spinal stenosis, which is a thinning of the spinal cord. And I've never gotten an MRI again because of all the magnetic rays. I don't want to put my body through that, but I'm pain-free, knock on wood. And what happens is I now can recognize a certain, say I did something, like say I stubbed my toe. It's funny, you may not realize stubbing your toe, how much you can hurt your inner thigh and your lower back by stubbing your toe. And you know, it might sound funny, but it's the whole effect. You know what I mean? How, you know, this song, like my tailbone, what is that? You know, my funny bone, and everything's like attached to each other. So if you think about your body, just tripping or stubbing your toe can really go up your body and really impact different body parts. So what happens is, say that happens to me, I now know all this different counter moves I can do to fix that problem. And so, yeah, I may have a pain for a day or a couple of days, but then I work it out. And a lot of my clients, that's what I do with them. Okay, what's going on with you? You know, we kind of assess the situation. But I do have to be honest, if you keep doing, and this is like the definition of insanity, you know, if you keep doing the exact same thing over and over again and expect different results, that's that's not going to happen. So I have some clients that come to me and they say, oh, I felt so good after our session. And then I'll see them a week later and they're like, yeah, I need more work again. And I'm like, well, how are you sitting? Like, they'll tell me different things that they do. Like, oh, I work on my computer on my lap while laying on the couch. I go, you seriously do that? Like, they might be laying on their side and they have their neck all like, you know, all out of position and all that. And that's why I talk about alignment so much. You know, everybody has the best posture when they come to my class because they're all thinking I'm looking at them and judging, which I'm not judging. But, you know, when you're at home, you tend to get a little more relaxed and, you know, and you may not be sitting in the best way possible. So that is something I try to talk to people, you know, take yoga off the mat, bring it to your house. Think of your alignment when you're conversing with people. I always say, have your head and heart face others, you know, instead of twisting your neck to look at people.
I love that. So, and the other thing I want to touch on, because I think they are interrelated, and it's also going to then lead us into the other aspect of your business, is the role of stress on pain, right? And chronic pain and pain management. Because I know you do speak to and you do coach folks through stress management and meditation to sort of bring that down. Can you speak a little bit to how, I guess, like you were saying, you have some tips and some tricks around stress management, pain management, and how these things all work together. I think folks coming to this, folks that are either health coaches and want to be able to include this in their own practice, but also for themselves as entrepreneurs, it can be very stressful and can lead to all this. So how do those two things go hand in hand?
Sure. So I have a program program that I'm working on, but I also have a freebie available on my website will you be able to link it here afterwards?
Yes.
Okay, so I have this program. It's called Holistic Living and Working on a Budget. And what my 5 foundations are to holistic living and working is, number 1, habits. Number 2, budgeting and time management. Number 3, cooking and clean eating. Number 4, natural cleaning and beauty products. And then number 5 is working holistically on a budget. So I like to look at all of that as a great piece of our lives. You know, there's so much we're juggling in our lives, but if you have these 5 foundational pieces as your general lifestyle, it's going to help you so much. So stress management, it's not necessarily number one, but right now it is. Stress management and healthy habits, there's so much things we can do to help with our stress and anxiety, especially while we're learning about pain management. One thing I like to do, because a lot of us heart-centered entrepreneurs we're life coaches, health coaches, creatives, artists. A lot of us have dreams and aspirations, and stress management is also about doing things called centering. So what I say to people is I'd sit them down and do this great centering exercise. If I could do it with our listeners today, I think it'd be really helpful. It's very quick. Is that okay with you? Okay. So I say to people, a lot of heart-centered entrepreneurs, like Erin, you say you're a writer. So before you sit down and write, for instance, I call it centering. And I even talk to parents about doing this with their kids before they do homework. All right, so before you do any kind of big project, just kind of tune into your alignment. So you imagine you have a string attached to the top of your head, pulling you up to the ceiling. You sit comfortably in a chair. You have to put a pillow behind your back. You may even have to put a pillow underneath your feet if your feet can't touch the ground comfortably. And you want your shoulders to go up, back, down away from the ears, and kind of lift your chin up just a tiny bit so it's parallel with the ground. And you can rest your hands onto your lap. And then what you would do, if you're able to safely do this, guys, while you're listening to the podcast, you would close your eyes. If not, just pull your car over or just listen to this later if you need to. And you close your eyes or just softly gaze downward if you're in the office and you don't want people staring at you. And just bring your attention and awareness to your breath. And follow the breath moving in and out of your nose for the next few moments. And now what you're going to do is you're going to think about what are your dreams, your aspirations, your goals? What sings to your soul? And I don't want you to be under or overwhelmed by this. And if you're alone, you can actually say this out loud if you feel comfortable doing so. But if not, just say it in your mind. So say that you want to be a writer. So what you would do is you would say gently to yourself in the present tense, positive form, a mantra that you would feel comfortable repeating a few times. So for instance, you would say something like this: I enjoy writing each and every day, or I am a successful writer who enjoys writing each and every day. You can make it your own and just see what feels right to you. And then what you're going to do is you're going to repeat this affirmation a few times over and over again. And then you're going to return to following your breath. So I'll give you guys a moment of silence. Good. And now you're going to return to following your breath. And then slowly begin to deepen the breath. Wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers, and stretch your arms and legs. Good. And now you're going to slowly open your eyes. So that's a centering exercise that you can do. Another thing you can do is you can do a counted box breathing when you're feeling stress and anxiety. So do you guys have another minute where you want me to do another quick exercise, or are we pressed for time?
No, go ahead.
Oh, okay. So another great thing to do, guys, and this could be when you're in a meeting or someone else is talking and it's very inconspicuous because you can keep your hands under the table and rest them on your lap, and you use your fingers to do your counting. So I'm going to do one round with you guys, and then I'm going to have you do 1 or 2 rounds on your own. So when you do this, now I have to tell you, primal health coaching, Mark Sisson was talking about our breathing and how when we inhale, it's temporarily putting stress on our bodies. And then when we exhale, it's a relaxant. And then Albert was also talking about this. He was talking about doing a counted box breathing where you incorporate it together. So, Mark had a lot of great points that really helped me with this too. So when you do counted box breathing, it does depend on your lung capacity, but most people are comfortable with the inhale of 4 and an exhale of 8. So what you do is you double the exhale number. But what I like to throw in the middle is a holding of the breath. Now, not everybody feels comfortable holding their breath, especially if you're pregnant or have high blood pressure that's unmedicated. But if you're comfortable holding your breath, what we would do is I would lead you through very slowly inhaling to the count of 4. Then you would hold your breath to the count of 6. And then very slowly exhale to the count of 8. The one tip I would like to give you guys is when you do your inhale and your holding of your breath, you want to do it very slowly. So you don't want to do a real quick inhale, because then what's going to end up happening is you're going to hold your breath a lot longer, and then it could cause some panic and discomfort. Okay, so let's do one round together. And then if when you do it on your own, you feel that the count is a little too big for you, so say your lungs are a little compromised right now, you might want to do an inhale of the count of 2, hold your breath to the count of 3, and then exhale to the count of 4. But again, you can always omit holding your breath. Okay, so sit in that comfortable position I talked about before. And now very slowly, just take a breath in and then just breathe that air out. Okay, slowly inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold your breath, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And repeat for the next round or so.
I love that. I'm already feeling more centered. So, and this is something that you just build into your typical coaching program as part of
Yes.
sort of do you consider this like an overall segment of what you're doing? Would this be included in kind of your healthy habits?
Sure.
How do you frame all this?
Sure. So what I have is a basic layout of my yoga and meditation centering sessions. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I always start people out with a basic centering exercise. Then I go into a breathing warm-up exercise. Then we do some body warm-up exercises on the floor. Then we do standing warm-ups, standing. Then we do yoga postures that are standing. And I can make all this accessible via chair, because some of my students can only do it out of a wheelchair or sitting in a chair. And then we come down onto the floor, if that's, again, what our session's about. We do postures on the floor. Then we wind it all down with some stretching. Then we end with a breathing exercise and then a lying down meditation. And the meditation's a guided meditation. So everything I teach is very approachable and easy to understand and follow. I really don't like complicating things. I've always been known as the gentle yoga teacher or the approachable yoga teacher. That's very important to me, because I don't need to make anything overly complicated for people. They have enough complication in their lives right now.
Wonderful. I love box breathing. I'm such a fan of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so the long exhale, that's a vagus nerve thing, correct? That triggers the state of relaxation through the vagus nerve. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Well, sure, but I'm going to have to be honest. I don't know the right words to use. Like Mark Sisson says it awesome, but I'm
Sure.
just not going to be able to touch upon it the same way he does. But what I do understand from a more basic point of view is that when we inhale our breath, we're temporarily stressing ourselves out. When we hold our breath, we are also doing a little bit minor of a stress level. And then when we exhale, that release helps balance our hormones and calm us down. So that's why in the beginning of our sessions, I actually do a breathing warm up that is actually very rapid breathing. It's called skull shining breath. And it's an inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. It does this repetitive motion to really wake up your lungs. So we do that in the beginning of the session so that by the time we get to the end of the session, I do a breathing exercise with them that calms them down. It's purposely separated from each other. And that's why we do meditation immediately after the breathing exercise.
Mm-hmm. Okay, you're going to coach me for a moment here because I'm just going to admit, I have an admission of guilt. I'm not good at breath work. I'm not good at working on my mobility. I'm not good at working on my posture. I want to do it. I love it. I see the benefit to it. What do you say to somebody like me who says, I just can't, you touched on this earlier. I don't know how to do this without the guidance. Can you please guide me through it? How can I get into a rhythm or routine of doing this myself in my day, my work day or my busy day?
Sure. So that's where becoming a primal health coach really helped me learn that I need to learn how to coach better. So I've always been good at teaching. It's the coaching that I'm really still learning. I'm still trying. I mean, we're all learning all the time in this world. So I started realizing that, yes, a lot of my students do good in front of me. It's what they're doing at home that seems to be the toughest part. And that's actually when I started redesigning my programs so that they get a weekly session with me. So if we do online, I would have someone do a 3-month program with me. They get weekly sessions and they also get access to all of my video and audios that are all my different relaxation techniques and also yoga postures. Okay. And so then when we have our private sessions together, we're going to do a mini yoga session. So we may not go into as much as what I talked about before, because I am going to kind of feel out and see what they need the most. So some people need a couple postures to learn to counter the repetitive motions that they're doing. So I have them fill out already an extensive questionnaire. So I'll already know if you are prone to having back issues, that you work from your desk a lot and on the computer. So what we would do is I would make sure that I give you some proactive things that you can practice on your own. So I can see that we would have to do the breathing warm up so that you can really learn how to expand your lungs better. And then I would do a centering exercise with you, a couple postures, like a couple warm-up postures and maybe just seated postures, and maybe one standing posture to help you manage your pain. And then we would end with a breathing warm-up and a guided meditation. And then what I would do is then I would leave it for you to ask me questions, to let me know how you feel. What do you feel like you need more help on? And then I would just listen to your answers, give you a little bit of advice here and there because of my teaching backgrounds. Like I kind of put two hats on, but I also would really be present and mindful and listen to what you have to say and kind of figure out where I need to lead the conversation from all of that. Does that make sense to you?
It does, yeah. I think it's a beautiful coaching methodology. Um, because I work in this space of only, air quotes, only nutrition and really lifestyle, like sleep and stress. I don't work in physical execution of anything. I don't take my clients through postures or breath work. And I just feel like, for some reason, I feel like those physical pursuits are sometimes harder for people to commit to or to do on their own. So I'm always curious how coaches who are working in that physical execution type space keep their clients accountable to this practice.
Sure. So one thing I have to say is our clients have been with me for many years, and they are just so into certain postures we do together. So it's almost like they feel better, almost some of them instantly. I mean, some of them, obviously need a few sessions. And some of them, if they keep doing certain things at home, they're only going to temporarily feel better. But it's almost like if you're meeting with somebody on a weekly basis and you know that they really enjoy feeling better, they start craving that. Like, oh, good, I'm going to see Jen, so I get to do this posture. I actually I've had a student say to me, "Oh my God, we're going to do dancer's pose today, right? You forgot to do it last week." And I'm thinking to myself, they could do it at home. You know, they even know, they have it memorized. They've been doing it with me for years. So I just find that comical sometimes. Like, okay, obviously they're not practicing this at home. So, I mean, I do the best I can with having someone accountable for taking care of themselves at home, giving them the tools for them to be able to be confident and do it at home. But, that's all I really can do. I do let them do some kind of emergency 20-minute calls here and there too. So, and they can email me a question if needed.
Triage, right? I just want to repeat something that you said that I think is so important for everybody to take home is that coaching is different than teaching. And that the art of coaching is something that also requires practice. I think many of us that have been in this field for a while, I know, well, I can only really speak to myself, but I'm just sort of following up on kind of what I heard you say, that we're so used to teaching and educating. We're so used to wanting to help and provide people with the information that they need to be successful that we forget that until they actually learn it on their own and can execute on their own, it's not something that's going to last long term. And that's the role that coaching really plays. And the coaching approach has to a certain degree, differ from client to client as well.
Yes.
So I love that. And so thank you for sharing that. And because I do get folks that I'll often hear a lot, well, I already kind of know everything. Why should I attend a health coaching school? And I keep trying to tell them, because it's not about what you already know. It's not about your knowledge whether it's related to nutrition or something else. It's about learning how to actually coach another human being through behavior change. And that's something that does not come naturally at first. Even for those of us, and I want to use your word, that are heart-centered, right? And are looking to give to other people. And I would love for you to expand on that term, that description, heart-centered entrepreneurs. How did you pick that phrasing? How did you pick this group as sort of your niche? Is this something because you identify that way, or you're finding these are the people that are most attracted to what you do?
Oh, that's a great question. So I'm going to try my best to explain that on here and portray it, because I believe, this is what I believe about heart-centered entrepreneurs, okay? And I say artists and creatives too. I believe that what a lot of people think is that they cannot pursue their dreams. I truly believe that they want to make a difference in this world with their talents and their expertise, and that they seek joy, peace, and connection, and the need to stretch inside and out. I also believe as creatives, we're wired differently. And we tend to get overwhelmed by technology, learning as we go, and the need to move past fear and anxiety to pursue our dreams. So that's my take on it. And I am a heart-centered entrepreneur. So for me, it's just dear to my heart. And I feel like it's missing in the world. There's so much training out there for business nowadays, like business type courses and things like that. But a lot of us artists, creatives, and heart-centered entrepreneurs kind of feel like we're in the middle of two worlds. So we have our craft that we enjoy, that we love, but we're stuck in this mindset about how do I make money at this? How do I make a career out of this? And that's where I'm coming into the factor, because I really believe that there are a lot of us out there that feel like, I can't make money at this. This is useless. I mean, because I grew up, my dad wanted me to work in corporate America. You climb that corporate ladder. That's what you do. You don't make money at doing something you enjoy. You go to work because you have to. And I want people to understand that they can keep doing what they love while learning to care for themselves holistically on a budget. That's basically what I'm about.
Boom.
I love that. God, I love that. And Erin, how about it? There's so many people just starting out right now that are very nervous about their cash flow. They're really trying to reinvest in themselves, and they're trying to make just smart budgetary decisions. I heard you mention the term ROI, as far as kind of budgeting. So budgeting and time management are similar skills that just related to different things, right? One is time and one is money.
Yep.
And interestingly, there are a lot of people that are sweating and stressing about the money, but really it's time that's your only non-renewable resource. So I would love for you to speak to your thoughts on that a little bit.
Yeah, I have 3 really cool comments. I'm going to save the third one for last, because it's just, I just love it. Okay, so number 1, and I get excited talking about this because I have to tell you guys, me and my husband were close to claiming bankruptcy 10 years ago. And to know that I have learned so much in that 10 years without any formal education, guys. Like, I'm talking, yes, I did go to school. All right, I'm going to say this. I did go to college. I went to community college, and I did have a business management background, and I did manage a law office for 9 years. But I have to tell you, a lot of it I learned from the School of Hard Knocks, like a ton. I didn't learn it in any kind of training school, anything. I just figured a lot of stuff out I read all the time. I listen to podcasts, and I just center and listen for the answers within a lot more than listening for all the answers outside. So that being said, I have some kind of cool things to answer about what you were asking. So as far as time management, I'm going to go there first. What I believe in, it's called practice single tasking versus multitasking. So when we focus our energy and our attention on something for a period of time while being present and mindful, we tend to make fewer mistakes, and we actually save time and energy. Plus, our minds get into a repetitive, productive mode, which then makes the task on hand more enjoyable and relaxing. So I'm going to put that one out there. Then I want to give just one more quick advice, and then the third is very easy. And then, whatever questions you have. But the other thing I want to talk to you guys about is, I call it no SOS. What that means is, don't get caught up on the, and I'm giving air quotes right now, shiny object syndrome. So when shopping, think about, is it really filling a need? Ask yourself before you buy things. Does this bring me joy, like Marie Kondo says? Or is it just filling a hole inside? And now my third comment I have to get out there in case we don't have any more time is live simply. Okay, so just those three things I think are really important with time and budget management.
Mm-hmm. I think this is very timely, and I know that podcasts are evergreen, and so whenever you're listening to this, just understand that it's the end of March in 2020, and we're all learning a lot about ourselves and how we live because we're spending a lot more time at home right now. And I just think this is really, I don't know about you guys. I mean, obviously, Jen, you live simply all the time. Laura, I'm not sure if this is happening for you, but I'm looking around my house, and now that I'm in my home full time, it's like a lot of the stuff that I thought I needed and needed to spend my money and time and energy on was just shiny objects, fluff or something. And so, this is interesting because all of those concepts you just mentioned, the time management concept, the simplifying your life, simplifying your budget, it's all bubbling up for us right now. I think we're trying to work from home. We're trying to do big grocery shops that last for a long time so we don't have to go to the store. It's just really timely. So can you talk a little bit about, I just want to get into this live simply piece because I think it's a really great sort of encapsulates a lot of what you were talking about there. What does that look like? What are some starting places people can do to begin living simply?
That's a great question. And it's like a wormhole for me. So I'm going to try to make it as very simple as possible. But like, to me, live simply is kind of like a foundational piece that if you have that in your back pocket, you look at the world differently. You're more mindful and present with your buying power, which, right now, like as Erin's saying, I mean, this is a big time for us. I don't know when this is going to come out, but this is a big time for all of us. And we are learning that we have to make do with what we have more. And this is like my life, guys. So I've been living this way for about 10 years, but I have gotten off path so many times. I have gotten caught up with the shiny object syndrome so many times, especially because Amazon, you could just buy stuff right now, and it's so one thing I think I'm going to put out there, because I think that you'll appreciate this one. So when you go shopping, guys, I want to make sure I word this right. I don't have it written down. Anyways, so when you go shopping, and this could be either online or in person, fill your cart up, okay? Don't worry about that. It's okay. Walk around the store or walk around your house, because sometimes just the art of, I'm doing air quotes, purchasing and filling up your cart is what you needed at that moment. Maybe you're bored, maybe you're lonely, maybe you're scared, and you just want that retail therapy, okay? But instead of purchasing those items, walk around with them, sit around with them. So if you did it on Amazon, you can keep them in your cart for days, weeks. It doesn't make a difference, guys. Come back to it periodically and be mindful. Say, do I really need that? Is that important? Is that an investment piece? So I'm not let's let it be known. When you live simply, you're not living like a broke person. I don't like it when some people get insulted by the word simple. And I've heard this before. Oh my God, living simply. What do you wear like rags and you have holes in your clothes and your shoes and So I don't want that belief system out there. Living simply is just a way of living a life where you're being mindful and present with your purchasing power, with the food that you put in your body, the lotion that you put on your skin, the people, the relationships you have in your life. Are they toxic? Do you have to limit your relationships with a certain person and maybe only see them once in a while, or do a little protective shield around yourself before you're around a crowd of people? That's a centering exercise I do with people. That's living simply to me, is just being mindful and present. Don't rush out and buy things. Keep them in your cart. Walk around the store. Think about it. I've walked around a store and I've literally put all the clothes back on the rack. Yep. Say that I was in Kohl's. They have like a return rack, and I put it back on there, and I bought like 2 items, and that cart was filled. Or Amazon, you end up deleting it. I don't need that. It was fun to price shop and, kind of dream for a little bit. It's okay to dream, but, let's not be consumers that spend all this money and then leave the poor people that are older or sick with nothing right now. That's another thing. Again, I don't know when this is airing, but, we gotta care for each other too in the process, and be mindful and present more.
Yeah. I mean, and how many times have you put things in your physical shopping cart or your Amazon shopping cart that were flights of fancy that aren't even remotely things that you actually care about? And I've done that where I've put something in my Amazon cart and then I've gone back a week later and saw that in the cart and wondered what the heck I was thinking when I put it in there.
Exactly.
But like my wheels are turning. I always think about this stuff, I don't know why, from a generational perspective, and kind of like you talked about earlier, how your upbringing was, you go to school, you get a job, you earn a salary, you buy a house, like all the sort of expectations. And so like because I'm in the same generation as you are, Generation X, thereabouts, with our baby boomer parents, and I feel like it took me into my 40s before I kind of gave myself a slap across the face and stopped impulse buying and buying status symbol, purses and wardrobes and things I do not care about. And I wonder if part of that was like because we were raised in this sort of hustle culture. And we have been it's kind of been ingrained in us that our possessions are sort of the billboard that say, look, I did it. Look, I'm successful. Look. And because I see the younger generations coming up, the millennials and Gen Z, and they seem to be less materially driven than we were when we were younger. And I look back at myself as a 20-year-old and how I'd rack up credit cards buying stupid clothes and things that were it probably ended up in a landfill somewhere, and I feel tremendous guilt about that too. Let's not even go there. But like, why does it take us so long? I wonder what the reasoning is behind that. Do you have any thoughts on that? Why it's hard for us to simplify?
Well, I'm not sure, but I have to say, I do think the older generations, our parents, once they retire, I kind of think they do go to a simpler life. You know what I'm saying? Because they only have a certain amount of money to get them through the rest of their life, and I actually feel hopeful. Now, I know the times that we're going right at this second are stressful on many, and I am not downplaying that at all. But I am hopeful that a lot of people are going to start embracing simplicity and being more mindful and present, because they kind of have to right now. Some people are being forced into it. I have to tell you, some people are having a lot of trouble with it right now too, and my heart does break for them. My husband's cousin is 10 years younger than us, and I know because he has children. I don't have children. Me and my husband don't have kids, but he has small children, and I know that a lot of people like that are going through that stress right now, and oh my God, is there going to be enough food in a few weeks? So I'm not downplaying this at all, and I understand a lot of people that are from corporate America mindset are probably having a lot of trouble with this because they have to dress up all the time. They have a different lifestyle. A lot of them
Mm-hmm.
are used to needing certain status symbols, certain watches and outfits to wear in order to be presentable. I know that my cousin, I know she thinks it's odd that I ever wear makeup. And she says to me, well, I can't go to work without makeup on. I don't think I put it together. I don't, and, I'm just like, yeah, whatever. I don't give a
Right.
crumb. I wear makeup to a wedding. I think that's when I wore makeup. So I hope that answers your question.
No, I think this drives home for so many people, and certainly different times of life too. I remember when it came to, and actually this is sort of relevant to the audience we're talking to. When I went from this corporate career and I knew I wanted to make this change, but I'm like, I can't do that. There's no way I'm going to replace my income. It wasn't until I realized if I simplified things, I didn't have to replace 100% of that income. That a lot of the money I was spending was on a bunch of crap I didn't need. I don't have to
Yeah.
fly my family to Hawaii. I don't have to do that. Right. And I can't even remember the last time I bought like professional clothes. I mean, now I am a little bit of a like workout clothes. Like I'm always like shopping on Fabletics and stuff because I live on that now. But I finally just gave away my whole closet after holding on to years. I've held on to it for the last 5 years. I had a hard time letting it go because these were all little pieces, things that I invested in that were part of that image and part of that status that I finally gave away to a young woman in her 20s that is just starting her professional career. She walked away with a huge box full of clothes. But we're also in the process of moving now. And I got to tell you, having all this stuff that I don't need is a tremendous burden because now I got to figure out what to do with it because I don't want to bring it with me. But the other token to this is my parents and my mom. So my mom is now in a position where she cannot care for her own things. She's got, God knows what she's paying every month to put a bunch of her stuff in storage that she will never touch. And guess who's going to have to go through it all? And I've had this conversation with people whose parents have passed away and now they have to go through the entire estate. And holy cow, is there a bunch of crap left over? And somebody's got to do something with it. So taking control over that now and simplifying things down, having too much stuff is stressful. You need a place to put it. And you need to clean it or pack it away or something. I think there are periods in time in our lives we learn these lessons, that simplifying thing really is easy, but to a certain degree, to Erin's point, this need for more and this need for the shiny things, I think comes from this lack of feeling as though what we already have is enough or that we're enough.
Yeah.
Right. And so the more things we have somehow make us more valuable or our lives more relevant somehow. Yeah. And I just, this whole conversation around simplicity, I know really struck home with Erin. It has with me, and I think it will with everybody listening, especially in today's climate. I love it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, this has been really great. I love coaches that are working in these kind of broad spaces like this. And I just think it speaks to how health coaching or coaching in general, there's no boundaries to what we can coach on. It's vast what we can coach on. So I really appreciate what you're doing, Jen. Can you give us some insight as to where people can find you and learn a bit more about what you're up to?
Sure. Yeah. So I do have a free guide that I was talking about. It's Holistic Living and Working on a Budget. And I'm sure the link will be posted here. But you can also visit my website, which is celestialyoga.org, not .com, but .org. And I also have a private Facebook group that is also known as Holistic Living and Working on a Budget. So you're welcome to join there too if you want to, get to know me even better and connect, and that's it. And I'm always open to, if somebody wants to, a 20-minute free chat session with me. The link will also be included, and it's also on my website.
Nice.
Awesome.
This has been great. Thank you so much, Jen. It was wonderful getting to know everything that you're doing, and I think people will take a lot out of this conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jen.
I loved it. It's great because I've been listening to you guys for so long, so it's kind of cool to actually be on here.
Well, we
Thank
loved
you.
having you. Thank you for sharing.
This podcast was brought to you by Primal Health Coach Institute. To learn more about how to become a successful health coach, get in touch with us by visiting primalhealthcoach.com/call. Or if you're already a successful health coach, practitioner, influencer, or thought leader with a thriving business and an interesting story, we'd love to hear from you. Connect with us at hello@primalhealthcoach.com and let us know why we need to interview you for Health Coach Radio. Thanks for listening.